What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. We had our full voting over on Twitter for the thumbnail. Here it is. And if you guys want to participate in the vote, all you have to do is go to Twitter, follow me on there, and I post them every weeknight, Sunday through Thursday night for the weekly show for Newswave. And hopefully the thumbnail turned out pretty good for you guys. So you know what? There's a bunch of stuff to talk about today, including the Pokemon Company's massive profits, which have to be from Pokemon Go, despite there being no sales breakdown. Vega was shown with AMD, and it just confused everyone, and for some reason Sony is allowing companies to get away with putting PS4 Pro support on their packages without actually supporting it. You know, guys, let's get started with the big news of the day, and that is the Pokemon Company's massive net profit they have reported, which again has to be from Pokemon Go because they showed us their previous year's fiscal earnings where they had net revenue, obviously the past couple years, and nothing looks like what this past fiscal year looks like. You'll see here the fiscal years line up. We have, of course, your standard 2013, 16.6 million, 10.6 million, 18.4, 5.6, and all of a sudden, $143 million, and that does fall right in line with what Pokemon Go was probably making at the time. Of course, it was a mobile game, which does have a wider audience than pretty much any video game right now, guys. Mobile is it right now for companies who want to make big money, and you can kind of tell because the previous years, you'll see Alpha Sapphire, obviously, and Omega Ruby released back in 2015, and you can see the big fallout from there. Of course, X and Y before then, back 2013, and despite those big launches of those games, it's still nowhere near the peak that we get here in 2017, and I think the Pokemon Company at this point understand that mobile is the way to go because now we're getting more games from them. We already got Magikarp, of course, the Magikarp Jump game, which is kind of interesting, but people are now playing it a lot, where you're trying to evolve and take care of your Magikarp so it eventually becomes a very powerful Gyarados, so you take the weakest Pokemon, try to turn it into one of the most powerful Pokemon, and then they're also working on another Pokemon game, and this next Pokemon game is called Pokeland, and it's going to be more similar to, say, Pokemon Rumble, for example. That's kind of the idea they're going with here, but it looks just like another Pokemon game they're releasing that will have a cash shop that they can then make more money from. I think they're realizing right now that this recurring revenue is the best business model. I think a lot of companies are realizing this, and that's why we keep hearing about these service games. This would be a service type game because it's a game that can generate revenue well past the release. Of course, the biggest spike is when you release either the game or an expansion or some new characters to it or something. And in this case, they have quite a few Pokemon they can pull from to really generate popularity out of nowhere. But right now in Japan, it's in an Android only alpha test. It's going to also go to iOS, of course, but right now they're just testing with Android, more than likely to keep the numbers, you know, narrow, more so than you would if you had both going at the same time, and of course to keep server load light. I assume they're not dedicating a ton of servers to an alpha test right now. Right now it has 52 stages and 134 types of Pokemon in it currently, which of course they can expand as they go along. Not a ton of information's out there for it yet, but I'm sure we'll start seeing a lot of videos for the alpha as people who have joined in can now show us what's going on exactly. Now, we still don't know anything about an international release date for Pokeland, and I wouldn't expect it anytime soon. By soon, I mean the next couple months. I would probably expect it closer to the end of the year, maybe, because right now there's still an alpha in Japan, and localization takes even longer, even after it comes out. So again, I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, but this starts kind of bringing up the interesting conversation of, is mobile the future now for some of these companies? I mean, it's hard if you are a company like the Pokemon Company to not just start making these games, or at least having people outsourcing these games to be made quickly and all the time, because you're going to get at least people who latch on to some of them. And at that point, once you get enough people into there, you're going to make more money than if you released a game, and that's, for some people, that might be a scary thought. I will say, though, Pokemon and cell phones make sense. We're supposed to be pocket monsters. We have our cell phones in our pockets all the time, so at least that adds up. Next bit of news, guys, comes from YouTube itself, as a few YouTubers went ahead and tested the durability of the Switch. I think a lot of people saw this, where they strung it up on a drone, took the drone to 1,000 feet and just dropped the Switch, and the Switch hit hard, like so hard that the left Joy-Con exploded, and it was just beyond repair there. But the base unit itself still worked, which is really, really insane to think about that the Switch is that durable. Now, I did open it, of course, and checked it out, and yeah, to be honest, the way they have everything packed in there, it can take a beating. Of course, it's mostly plastic, which is much better, because if that thing had dropped and it was a glass screen on the front where the touchscreen is, it would have shattered, even if it landed on its back, even if it hit that left Joy-Con, because the way the shock goes through it would have just cracked it. The plastic, though, is much more malleable and flexible and can take that shock much better. Of course, though, we do know that the left mechanism in that Joy-Con, or really either one, the left or right, is prone to having some issues if it is dropped on its back. We saw the guys over at Giant Bomb have an issue where they dropped it and then it was very easy to push them off without unlocking it. That is a plastic mechanism that will give issue, even over time if you don't drop it. So I do expect that to be one thing that Nintendo to really iron out in whenever they do their refresh, because that, we all know in 2 or 3 years, there's going to be another Switch to buy. I think we've been talking about this since the 3DS when that came out, and then another one, and then we had the other one. So I completely expect there to be another Switch down the road 2 or 3 years from now, and they'll probably fix that locking mechanism up, at least make it a little better. And if you missed it, we finally got our first in-game look at Vega, officially. AMD showed off a bunch of things along with their Threadripper CPU that had 16 cores and 32 threads, so it's a very powerful CPU. It's still a little behind Intel right now because Intel is talking about an 18-core CPU, but that's information for another day. All we need to worry about right now is that they did show off their Vega GPU line. They partnered 2 Vega chips, so they had 2 GPUs in their computer, a Threadripper CPU, and then they attempted to run Prey at 4K. Now, they ran it, and the frame rate was good. The problem we run into, though, is a few things. One, they did not give us a frame rate counter, which was worrying to a lot of people if they did not show us or disclose frame rate to us, because they were using 2 Vega GPUs, and there was a ton of screen tearing. Now, people are trying to figure out why this is. Some people are saying, well, the frame rate might have just been too high for the projector that they were using at the time, which could cause weird issues on screen like frame tearing. The other thing a lot of people are concerned about is that it seemed to take 2 Vega GPUs to do with what one 1080 Ti can do, which is Prey at 4K above 60 frames per second. A 1080 Ti seems to get anywhere between 70 and 80. And then we have the Vega GPUs there that was running it smoothly, but we don't know how well it was running it. Couple this with the fact that we still don't have a solid release date. They just say probably the end of July, maybe early August, hopefully. They're having some issues from what a lot of people are saying with getting HBM2 memory, and it's just not easy to get right now, unfortunately. And that's what's pushed Vega back. How long have we been talking about Vega, guys? It's been a long time. So I hope they come out with better benchmarks. There were so many things they could do better in that showing than what they did with Prey at 4K. Like I said, give us a standard frame rate and let us know what's happening, because if they turn the frame counter on and all of a sudden, oh, it's 160 frames per second, that makes sense why there's some screen tearing. So at least tell us next time, AMD, next time you decide you want to show this thing off, so we at least can kind of put to bed these thoughts of maybe Vega's not that good. Next up, guys, we have a firm, good look at what's going to happen E3 week. And this has kind of been collected and posted on the internet. It was first arrived on Polygon, where they did a very nice summary of all of the events that are happening. They're live streamed. We can watch. I'll probably live stream almost all of them, to be completely honest with you guys, even though there is one at like midnight my time going until 1 or 2. I will be there. We will stream, and we will hopefully see some pretty cool stuff. But let's look at the schedule real quick here. So first up, guys, we have EA, Electronic Arts. They will be live at their EA Play. This is on Saturday, June 10th, and it's at 3 p.m. Eastern my time, and it's going to be running for about 90 minutes according to them, and we'll see some different things from them, including FIFA 18 and this really weirdly named FIFA on the Switch. Madden, I'm sure, will be there, NBA, and then Battlefront 2 should be there, hopefully in full effect. Need for Speed, a few others as well. Next up Sunday, we have the first of the big 3, with Microsoft, of course, trying to jump in front of everybody with their Scorpio. They will be showing 5 p.m. Eastern, that's my time, Eastern, 5 p.m., and we don't know how long it's going to last. It's usually around an hour, hour and a half generally, but they are showing a new console, so it could go closer to the full 90-minute mark. And we're, of course, the big thing here, guys, is we're going to see Scorpio, I assume, and hopefully some first-party games, maybe some new IP for like a first-person shooter, but we're looking 5 o'clock Sunday night. Later on that night, ZeniMax and Bethesda, they are going to round out the night at 12 a.m. my time, 9 p.m. Pacific time, and hopefully they'll show off some new stuff. I guess some Elder Scrolls, maybe some Fallout stuff, Dishonored, Prey. They'll show a bunch of different things there. I'm not really sure what else they will show, completely, but we have a time slot here at 12 a.m. that night. Next thing up, this is all on Monday, starting at 1 o'clock Eastern. We have mostly just a PC gaming show. It's just called Computer Games PC Gaming Show, and it's going to be 90 minutes long, and I'm sure you'll see all kinds of stuff there that is based around AMD and NVIDIA stuff. Intel apparently has replaced AMD now as the main sponsor of the whole thing. AMD was originally sponsoring it. Now Intel, I guess, came in with a better bid to have their logo slapped all over the place. I'm sure we'll see a lot of VR stuff as well, with things like Vive, Oculus, and just a bunch of different games. Next up, Ubisoft will be there at 4 p.m. Eastern my time. This is still on that same Monday. They're going to basically go between each other, and it'll be a non-stop stream more than likely, guys. 4 p.m. though, Eastern, probably about 2 hours. They have a lot of stuff to show, guys. Keep in mind, they have to show Far Cry 5, South Park, Assassin's Creed, and probably some other ones that maybe they haven't even announced yet, but we haven't seen anything about Assassin's Creed yet. So I assume they're going to have to do a very large showing for that one. And maybe we'll see something about the Mario Rabbids crossover, although Nintendo may want to save that for their Direct. Following that up at 9 o'clock that night is, of course, Sony going through their E3 presentation, about 90 minutes to 2 hours. Sometimes they run long. Sometimes it's like 2 hours, 10 minutes or something. But they will do a lot of stuff to push their PlayStation VR and the PlayStation 4 Pro, definitely hyping up 4K for that system. Maybe we see some kind of 4K PS4 Pro Slim model, maybe, because we keep hearing about this new hardware. I don't think there'll be a new handheld there, more than likely just a Slim. And of course, we'll see the standards with God of War, Days Gone, Last of Us 2, and then probably, I assume, Gran Turismo as well. And rounding out the schedule from the big companies, we have Nintendo. They're going to do, obviously, their Nintendo Spotlight, and that's going to be 12 p.m. my time, Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Don't know how long it's going to be. It'll probably be an hour, maybe a little less, depending on how much stuff they try to put in there. And of course, a ton of stuff to see. Mario Odyssey, obviously, and I'm sure tons of other titles will be there. Xenoblade 2. I mean, you could pretty much, I'm sure Mario and Rabbids will be there. Hopefully a bunch of stuff that just needs to be announced. I hope it's going to be more stuff that we don't know about than what we do, but we'll find out, and of course that will end the big streams. There'll be a lot of small streams in there too, guys, so I'll be keeping an eye on those as well, and we should always have something pretty much to watch. Last bit of news today, guys, comes from Bethesda and Prey. Now, Prey is an interesting game because it's already dropped in price to $40 in some outlets. I saw Target was selling it for $40 the other day. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One, there wasn't the best marketing campaign for it. Some people didn't even know it came out. And two, a lot of fans were just not happy, and that's because it was hyped up for a PS4 Pro type game, as in it's supporting the PS4 Pro with, you know, extra features and benefits to having one. But when you first buy it, it doesn't have it, despite having the logo printed on the box. And this, of course, prompted people online to get very mad and start posting all over the internet about this. But now, at least, there are some PS4 Pro enhanced features, including pretty much everything: better textures, anisotropic filtering being bumped up, and just overall a better experience if you are playing on a 4K TV set. Basically, to match that resolution, you have better everything pretty much. But the problem here is, should these companies be able to post these PS4 Pro enhanced features on the box right out of the gate if it's not going to be available for, what, another month? Because at a point, it kind of feels like it's almost false advertisement, because maybe somebody has a PS4 Pro and they're trying to decide if they want this game that apparently is PS4 Pro enhanced or this game that is not currently PS4 Pro enhanced. And what if you don't have, say, an internet connection to then get that patch? Maybe you live off somewhere where the internet connection is so bad you just don't hope to be able to connect and download it. You buy Prey as kind of an offline experience, and then you get home and you realize, wait, there's no PS4 Pro enhancement on here. I personally think they should not be able to do that. I wouldn't, because it feels like false advertisement to people who just don't have an ability to get the patch, or they want it day one because that's what they put their money on was, you know, PS4 Pro enhanced games. That's why they bought the PS4 Pro. This is a topic I'm very curious to hear what you guys' thoughts are at the bottom in the comments, because this is an interesting subject. Should companies be able to print these things on the box when it's not actually true right at launch? Maybe they have plans to do it down the road. We see some plans just never come to fruition, though, because the company just can't afford to do it. The studio maybe goes out of business, or they move on, or they're bought. Who knows? So I feel like they should kind of maybe keep those stamps off there unless the company is willing to not rush the game out and be able to put these features out. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, all of that good stuff. Let me know what you think about any of the stuff we talked about today, whether it is the Pokemon company's massive profits and maybe they are moving more towards licensing and creating mobile Pokemon games. Is that bad or is that good? Because I feel like Pokemon on the cell phone could actually make sense. We could eventually get that awesome Pokemon Go experience that we all really want. Pokemon Go, I think, is more of a stepping stone to that massive Pokemon in the real world type experience, which could be cool. Let me think about E3 schedule. Are you going to be around for some of the live streams? You're going to be online with your favorite streamer watching E3? Or you're just going to be kind of watching it from work when your boss isn't looking? Because I'm sure that's going to happen a lot. And let me know what you guys think about Vega. Are you trying to buy one whenever it comes out? And even if there's a shortage, or are you going to do your best to get one? It's hard to say. Make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, though, so you can vote in polls and follow all of my random thoughts throughout the day that I post, especially on E3 week, because I'll be posting news and random thoughts about games that I see while I'm streaming. That's it for now, guys. I will see you next time.